Today, I want to talk about the mountain of lies that we face when we're trying to eat healthy to build strong bodies. Let's start with the idea that all protein sources are the same. So, whether you get your amino acids from plants or animals, there's no difference for your health. The first problem that I have with this idea is that people, so humans, are animals. And to build an animal, you need a certain profile of amino acids. So animal protein is considered complete because all of the amino acids that it takes to build a human are found in the animal proteins that we eat. Versus plant protein, where you need to eat a certain combination of plants to get all of the amino acids that a human would need. And that certain combination of plants isn't obvious, so you need to actually know what you're doing to make sure that you eat everything that you need. Now, there is a few exceptions to this. We've talked about this before. For example, the first one that comes to my mind is hemp seeds or hearts, whatever you want to call them. Like hemp has a full profile. So does certain algae like spirulina and chlorella. They have a full profile. The problem with those is that for the algae, they can have some weird like detoxifying results on a human body. So you eat them and they start working on you like they're detoxifying you. And so you can't eat too much of them. So therefore you wouldn't be able to get all of the amino acids you need, because if you eat too much of them, they have a negative impact on our health. Soy is another option that has a pretty complete profile, if I remember correctly. The problem is that many people are allergic to soy, and it's an estrogen disruptor. So it's not the best for our health again. The second issue that I have with equating animal and plant protein is that our body can't actually utilize plant protein as effectively as it can utilize animal protein. Our body is actually twice as capable of getting the amino acids out of meat and fish and animal sources than it is getting them out of vegetables and fruit. So we end up, when we eat plants, getting fewer proteins possible to be made. And sometimes we can't even make all the proteins that our body needs. But on top of that, we end up making a lot more sugar out of the excess byproduct of the food we've eaten than we do when we try to make our body out of protein that's animal based, right? Because we're 2 times as capable of getting what we need out of the meat, out of the fish, out of the eggs, if we eat the whole egg. The third problem that I see with eating plant proteins is that plants don't actually want to be eaten. And so because their defenses are not teeth and sharp nails and running away from us, but instead anti-nutrients and toxins in the actual plant, when we eat plants, those things are toxic to humans and they cause health problems. Celiac disease because of gluten, and even deadly reactions to nuts and seeds that cause people to have so much inflammation that they actually cannot breathe. Now, we like to call these things allergic reactions because that allows the people who don't have the reaction to keep eating the food. But has anyone ever considered that an allergic reaction is actually a toxic, poisonous reaction that a human has to eating a plant? And that if one human has that problem, back in our history, that would have been a sign for the rest of us not to touch it. But somehow today, we will still try it because we've got EpiPens and we think we can. My problem is that because we continue to eat these foods and only stop eating the food if we have a huge reaction, we ignore the smaller reactions that we're having. My family has a long history of eczema. What exacerbates eczema? Tomatoes and peppers, and so nightshades. Now, I didn't have eczema. What I had was joint pain. When I stopped eating nightshade vegetables, no more joint pain. If you look up whether or not nightshade vegetables are healthy for us to eat, what they tell you is that they're safe to eat but only in some rare occasions can they be toxic. And my problem with that is, what determines whether something is toxic? What is a large enough dose to make something toxic? And I want you to think about the fact that if you react in any way to a plant, chances are that's a toxic amount for you. But yet we're told by doctors that no, that's just you having an allergy reaction. Take some antihistamines or take some. How about stop eating the poisonous food? And as a matter of fact, should that not be a sign from everyone to see that that food is potentially dangerous for everybody? Because how much of it do I need to have before I have that reaction? My fourth problem with protein is not specific to plant protein. It's across the board. We are constantly trying to grow bigger, fatter animals and bigger, plumper vegetables, and we keep adding chemicals to the foods that we're meant to eat. Whether we're putting pesticides on our fruits so they can grow really big and kill the animals that would try to, the animals and bugs that would try to eat them, or we're giving our animals hormones, we're giving our animals antibiotics, we're giving our animals Prozac and caffeine. Why? That our animals are testing positive for these things that they shouldn't be eating because they're not chemists and they're not seeking this stuff. But these things impact our health because we turn around and we eat these animals. Wellness Warrior, I made this video because I want us to understand that the quality of the food that we eat determines the quality of the body that we're building. If you remodel your house with items that you find at the junkyard, the house you have built will be garbage. And if we continue to eat foods that are not the best quality that we could produce to build the healthiest body that we could build, we're building garbage bodies. And it's showing on us because our weight continually rises. Our health continually declines. And it's not just because of old age. Because if it was only because of old age, I would not be sitting here feeling better than I felt throughout my 20s and 30s, with less pain than I had throughout my 20s and 30s, at a better weight than I was throughout my mid 30s. If age was the determining factor, I should be in worse condition, and I'm not. There's negative repercussions to industry encouraging us to get most of our protein from plants. Plants are not what our human bodies need because the protein profile that we need does not match what we will get from those plants. We're led down this path to eat the wrong foods, all in the name of profit. As a community, we have a voice, and I want you to vote for your health by eating the best quality meat that you can afford. The protein that you need to build the healthiest version of yourself that you can possibly build will be best served to you through meat, through fish, through eggs, through animal sources than through veg, because the profile is not the same. The amount that you need to eat is not the same, and the plant is trying to defend itself from us, and it's hurting us. Allow your body to heal, and let's begin a movement so that our children and our grandchildren and our great-grandchildren could be fed the healthy food they should have been being fed this entire time, that will cause their body to be strong, that will cause them to be as healthy as possible, and that will stop us from this roller coaster of constantly needing to be on medication. The animals that we eat should be pasture raised, pasture finished, all the time. Regardless of the animal, it should be in its environment so that it's healthy, so that when we eat it, we get healthy meat. We need to stand up and talk about this more often so that food producers will feed us appropriately. And it shouldn't be more expensive to get a pasture-raised animal on our plate. It should be the norm. If you want to know why they lie to us about veg being healthy, you want to check out that video. You'll be surprised.